very passionately. Our team engages on it very passionately because for a lot of them, this is probably one of the great ways of giving back to the community and being part of a larger mission created by the startup by the Enco startup founders. I want to give a big shout out to all the mentors. Maybe go to that slide, Kumkum. We started out early on. It was a smaller set of people engaging, but along with the grant, the biggest attraction from a Cisco engineering standpoint is the mentorship that we are able to provide on the technology side, solving problems through technology. You see the number of people who are there engaged. It's unbelievable. There are a lot more people who want to get engaged. So that's the big draw for us. And I'm sure the startup founders also value the contribution. Many of them don't really understand the problem at the starting, but they become very, very, empathetic as they go through the cycle and look at ways to help. We've seen that in the last two cohorts, and we've seen it in this cohort as well. People going over and beyond engaging with the startups. Great initiative, great traction that we are able to do. Thank you, Encore team. Thank you, Murugan. Thank you, Harish, all of you for engaging the engineering team. This is an engagement model for us. We really appreciate, being part of this this particular cohort. It's closer to our heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Murugan. It's been a pleasure to actually see Cisco extend such great support, not only in terms of funding to these early stage startups, but also in terms of the experts that you just called out. The Cisco community has been a great addition to these founders. Good evening, you all. I'm Renee from the NUT Center for Social Innovation, and I'll be hosting this evening along with Priya. The spotlight of this evening is, of course, on this brilliant set of cohort of founders that we have, and I'm delighted to be here today to take you through their amazing journey. As a quick note to the audience, if any of these stories inspire you, intrigue you, and you want to connect to any of these organizations, I have my colleagues who've been putting in the chat window something called a connect card. You can indicate your interest using this connect card, and we'll shortly connect you with them over email. Also, last, but do remember that you have a huge role to play this evening. Like Murugan and Priya have mentioned before, you get to select the most exciting and innovative idea, and we'll have voting towards the end of this evening. So please keep evaluating in your mind and jotting down your favorite organizations. So yeah, let's start this video showcase, and let's begin with Civis, an organization that works on civic engagement, and we'll learn more about their work through this video.
India can be a stronger democracy when more of us actively participate, not just by voting every 5 years, but also by being involved in the decision-making process during those 5 years. One of these ways is the pre-legislative consultation policy, which allows people to share their feedback on upcoming laws before they get finalized. But this policy hasn't been used very effectively. For example, in 2015, the Citizenship Amendment Act, or the CAA, was placed in the public domain for feedback. And not many people were aware that they could actually give their opinion. 5 years on, we are all seeing the turmoil that it has created. Some of this could have been avoided if people came together to give constructive feedback when the bill was being drafted. This is what Civis does. We enable constructive dialogue between governments and citizens. I'm Antara, and I'm the founder of Civis. We are a technology platform that converts open bills into a language that the common man can understand. We then engage with citizens whose opinion matters for a bill, online through our platform or offline through our partners. We collate all this information and convert it into usable insights for our government partners. In the end, we go back to the citizens to let them know how their opinion has impacted the law, thus closing the loop. We at Civis are helping bridge the gap between governments and citizens to build a better India.
I invite Sanjay Purohit, the Nudge CSI partner of Civis, to speak about their work and his experience mentoring them.
Thank you. It has been a privilege to work with Antara. Every week, we have cumulatively seen progress over the last 6 months. And she has taken to platform thinking like fish takes to water. So it's been an amazing experience. We all know COVID has been and will continue to be disruptive in many ways. And to fight, our country will have to go through a lot of reformatting. And in this process of reformatting, the engagement of our citizens would be crucial. We are a democracy, but voting is episodic. Civis is about everyday democracy. The most exciting part is that what it brings to the idea of civic consultation is speed through its AI-driven constructive insights for the government to act on. And I think that's a very, very important facet. Secondly, it brings scale. You know, the way in nature you see fractals that scale, they have a very fractal kind of nature of the work that they do. They can make it work at a ward level, at a city level, at the nation level, at the state level. So it kind of scales up in ways more than one. And now it is evidenced by the 4 government partnerships that they have at ward, state, and nation level. So it's extremely scalable as an idea. And for a country of 1.3 billion people, it's extremely important that we are able to engage more and more citizens in the development of the nation. Lastly, it's highly sustainable because the quality of the work that they do is just amazing. In my experience over the last few months, 47% of people that gave feedback to one of their important policies actually got incorporated by the government. So the government gives enormous credence to what they are trying to do. And I think that's a very important facet in ensuring not only civic engagement, but the fact that it is acted upon. I'm very, very confident that Antara and Civis will change India. And I would certainly urge that all of us join hands with her. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay, for those valuable insights about Antara and how well the organization is doing. Next, we have on our showcase Level Up, an organization that leverages technology to bring digital access to the visually impaired. Let's learn a little more about what they do.
India is home to almost 8.8 million blind people. 300,000 of these are children. Only 15,000 of them go to school, and about 3,000 will ever go to college. Majority of these belong to poor families, and the number that receive formal education is dismal. The lack of education means that they will stay trapped in the cycle of poverty in their lifetime. This narrative needs to change. People with vision impairment can be successful high achievers. Meet Ritesh. He topped his graduation, cleared CAT in his first attempt, studied at IIM Calcutta, and now works at an MNC. Ritesh is blind, but he was able to find a successful career path. At Level Up, we help visually impaired kids follow career pathways that help create better lives for themselves. We want to inspire them to aim higher, provide them with knowledge that is accessible to them, provide mentoring support, and get them started on a career path. We do this through our technology platform with the support of multiple content partners. I, Gaurav, co-founder of Level Up, have been working in the visual impairment space for the last 8 years. I previously built one of the most used navigation and reading apps for people with vision impairment. One thing we learned from over 70,000 users from 160 countries is that each one of them painstakingly forged a path towards a successful career fighting against multiple barriers. At Level Up, we now want to make that journey possible for millions of other visually impaired by reducing these barriers.
Sanjay, I request you to step in again and speak a little about Level Up.
Thank you again, Rini. It has been a pleasure to work with Gaurav through this process. He's very humble and hungry to learn, two qualities that I do deeply admire in any leader. Seeing the world through the eyes of the visually impaired is a challenge. not only for Gaurav and his team, but for all of us gathered here today. It's very important that we leverage the fact that he and his team have invested 8 years in trying to understand from various perspectives through various stages of life of the people who are visually impaired as to what can we do to make them successful. It's easy for us to use words like see it from their perspective, but remember, for a visually impaired person, those are the very challenges that we use the word so easily. Their technology expertise can be leveraged to translate this understanding into tangible ways to change the experience of the visually impaired. They are doing that, and they're doing that with perseverance. This is an extremely difficult mission that they have taken on. But their ambition is global, and so is their entire idea that this has to be done for a very large number of people. And I believe that in the coming years, we will see some amazing breakthroughs that they drive for the visually impaired citizens of our country. And not only our country, but multiple countries that they have the ambition to serve. So I wish Gaurav and the entire team all the very best, and looking forward to them making lives better for people who would really become much more stronger because of Level Up. All the very best, Gaurav and team.
Thank you, Sanjay, and all the best to Level Up for working on such a noble cause with so much grit. Next, we present Muskan Dreams, that is working to transform the learning experience of children in public schools through digital tools.
The COVID crisis has made all of us, educators, administrators, parents, and children, rethink how we can make learning more inclusive and more intuitive. The future of education needs to be digital friendly. And to keep pace with the world, our schools will need to undergo a rapid digital transformation. 65% of India's 250 million children studied in public school. But do these schools have infrastructure to support digital learning? Are our teachers ready for that? Most of these schools are unprepared. I, Abhishek Dubey, started my education in a government school, but was fortunate enough to pursue a career in computer engineering. There are millions of children who are not as lucky. Along with my co-founder Rishi, we at Muskan Dreams want to bridge this gap by equipping classrooms and teachers with ways to be future ready. We work with the government to build digital highways to public schools by enabling the digital infrastructure inside classrooms. Parallelly, our army of tech volunteers help teachers use these digital resources and tools to improve the learning experience for the students. At Muskan Dreams, we aim to improve the learning experience of children in government schools by building the digital capacity of schools and teachers.
I invite Shankar Marwada, the NAT CSI partner of Muskan Dreams, to share a little about their work and his experience with them.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry, there's some pet dogs in the background. Persistence and flexibility. These are two opposing characteristics every good entrepreneur should have. The persistence and determination to chase a vision, a destination, and yet the flexibility and openness to adjust the path, to change the milestones, converting challenges to opportunities. Abhishek and Rishi are two entrepreneurs I've had the pleasure of interacting over the past 6 months who have shown this amazing contradiction. They have converted the challenge of education where schools have been shut into an opportunity by shifting their thinking. They have looked at other ways of covering the gap between teachers and technology and the taught. They have embraced the principles of scale. And in a very short while, they have shown to the Madhya Pradesh government how their army of volunteers can make a difference on the ground. It was indeed a pleasure to watch them grow in the past 6 months. And though it is just the start of the journey, I'm very, very excited by the length that they can cover, the value they will add by taking their volunteer framework and solving the problem of education. And I'm also hopeful that the idea of the volunteer army can be taken beyond education into other areas. And so in closing, their deep personal experiences of coming from a humble background, studying in government schools, and then going on to cover a lot of ground, which has converted into an entrepreneurial passion. I would like to remind everybody here that it is such deep personal experience that propelled a young lawyer in South Africa to change the course of Indian history. And it's that deep personal experience that I'm confident will propel these two young gentlemen on an amazing entrepreneurial career that will help the education sector for sure. And so I'm very, very excited about watching their future progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar, for reinforcing their work and showing so much confidence that you have in the founders in their journey. Next up, we have Arogya, which is working on preventing and early detection of cancer in women by leveraging artificial intelligence.
Cancer may affect 130 million Indians by 2030, and a large majority of cases will be from disadvantaged backgrounds. 7 out of 10 people die due to late detection. Poor awareness and a lack of health infrastructure is a major cause of late detection of cancer today. Whole families are pushed into a poverty trap, with medical expenses soaring up by 5x. This narrative is repeated across developing nations. We at Arogya Foundation want to change this. We work on early cancer diagnosis in the most vulnerable group of patients, women, who suffer from 3 out of 5 top occurring cancers. Using artificial intelligence assisted tech intervention and ongoing support by our fellows, we empower frontline healthcare workers like Asha AMM in India and mid-level healthcare workers in Africa to screen women for cancer. We have screened 51,000 plus women, leading to early detection of cancer in 2,900 of them. Based on the screening, high-risk women are connected to nearby hospitals, while women with low risk are advised on ways to prevent cancer. A helpline in multiple Indian and international languages also provides more information about cancer prevention and care. A continuous process of screening will result in skilled healthcare workers, a better aware society, and help governments map the population for habits and disease burden. We at Arogya are an international team of doctors, health professionals, anthropologists, and technologists working to help frontline healthcare workers easily screen people for common cancers. Early screening can stop cancer before it eliminates another life.
Arogya Foundation's Nudge CSI partner, Lakshmi Narayan, is unfortunately not there with us this evening. So I request Ravi from Cisco, who's mentored them equally, to step in and share a few words about Arogya.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rini. Good evening to all of you. So just wanted to, I think, start off with a quick anecdote. One of the first messages that Dr. Priya sent me earlier on, she was pulled into a surgery at, I think, 4 a.m. in the morning. And I think our first meeting was to be rescheduled. And the first thought that came to my mind was, my goodness, this lady works really, really hard. And I was expecting the meeting to be rescheduled to another day, but it was just shifted by a few hours. So I think the dedication and the passion is something that I saw right through the 6 months. It's been an absolute pleasure, to sort of see the level of commitment and drive that both Dr. Priya and Dr. Dhruv and the team, brings. I think my sort of perspective is that they were very clear ahead, when they started this journey in terms of what they wanted, out of this 6 months. They had a very clear idea about, the objectives that they wanted to meet. And I think over this period of 6 months, they've sort of, I think, understood different pieces of the puzzle as it relates to technology, as it relates to business model, as it relates to go to market. And in some sense, they have a really good foundation, I would say, to sort of develop a very scalable and a repeatable model, I think, moving forward. The other interesting thing that I did see is, earlier on, COVID sort of was a huge shock to the economy, but Arogya, in collaboration with a number of other nonprofits, many of which are part of the current cohort, sort of formed the COVID Alliance to really step up to the challenge, and they continued their journey, right? And it was just really astonishing to see how they were able to react and really perform at a very high level, just given all of the different challenges that we saw a few months ago. So I think with that said, moving forward and looking forward, I think they have the foundation to really build a scalable and a repeatable model. They have a number of opportunities. One, I think earlier this week with the World Bank, that sort of tapped them to launch a pilot in one of the states. They won a Millennium Alliance Grant Award just last month. So I think they have a tremendous opportunity ahead of them. Just wanted to wish them, I think, all the very best. I think LAN would do so as well. So all strength to you, Dr. Priya and Dhruv. Stay safe, take care, and all the very best.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you for also sharing their achievements and recent collaborations. A quick reminder to our audience, I hope you all are jotting down your favorite organizations. If you haven't, please do collect your thoughts and quickly take 30 seconds and sort of write down from the first 4 organizations that have already shared their work, who you would pick. This will help you to make a meaningful vote later in the evening. Let's take a short break from the video showcase right now, and I'd like to call on a banker turned social entrepreneur, introducing Raj Gilda, who is the co-founder of Lend a Hand India, an NGO focused on providing vocational education in secondary schools in India. Lend a Hand today works across more than 10,000 schools and more than 1 million students through their direct interventions and government collaborations. Raj, it will be great to hear from you about your journey, about the kind of support that you leveraged during your journey and what you sort of missed having, and also how we as a group can, help build that ecosystem. Over to you, Raj.
Raj, you have to unmute a bit. So, Rini, can you unmute?
So thank you for the full introduction. What we're talking about, the place. The kind. I need to share this thing. I've been an ex-consultant myself, so I cannot really, function without a PowerPoint, in that sense. So I'll just do that. Just give me 1 minute, yeah.
Raj, I'm wondering, is that a physical background?
I'm sorry?
Is that a virtual background?
I wish it was a real one. We all are living in. It is saying I'm having some connectivity issue. Just hold on 1 minute, yeah. Okay, can you see it now? The screen. Is it visible?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so what will it take to think big and solve at all scale? And I this question needs to be answered by both sides of the coin. One who is actually going to do it versus one which is one side which is going to support do the same, right? So I think first I would like to address the side which is supposed to support to all make it happen. We all know it takes a village to raise a child, and I think all of us here who are gathered here, almost 80 of us, are constituting that village to raise a child which is graduating, this evening from the N-Course sort of, Tech Incubator. First of all, I think it is going to take a leap of faith on our part, right? That yes, they will make it. And I mean, the entire path may not be visible, entire future may not be visible. They may not be able to show you a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 5-year numbers, 10 years number. We all expect them to be there, but we be there to support them, right? Second, and this is all from a personal experience, that getting first like getting a first job, because you don't get a first job because you require experience. But unless somebody gives you a first job, how are you going to get a experience in the first place? So let fund somebody so that they are able to answer this question. Then I say the impact assessment. I think it is one of those things which everyone wants one, but nobody wants to fund one. In the whole process. So as these incubators and these pilots are getting into the market to scale and other things too, it will be great if we can help them to build their case to go forward. Third is, I know a lot can happen over coffee, or now we can say Zoom call or WebEx or Google Meet or Team, the instrument of your choice. So if you are not able to fund it, how about sparing some time for them, right, at the end of the day? Because giving that, our frank feedback, what it is about, and other things too, will go a long way. And the reason I'm sharing this, because not many people at Lend a Hand India as my journey of last 13 years. And even now, even though we have grown and other things too, the informal advice or informal tips and informal guidance which you're able to get from the people who have been there for a while has been most valuable for us to take it forward. I think we all know it all depends on who is introducing you. Right. So if I'm not able to fund you, if I'm not able to do anything else, but I have a credibility in the market, I have a credibility in the sector, if Amit Chandra writes an email to somebody, then obviously, that email is going to be taken seriously, right? So I think not to pick on Amit Chandra, he does that a lot, throughout the day. But those kind of introduction goes a long way. So I would urge all of us in the on the call here and otherwise to support our entrepreneurs in that manner as well, right? And I think the last thing is that welcome to judgment-free zone, right? Because I think as our entrepreneurs are going through their own ups and downs and other things too, the last thing they want is to be judged, in a very typical way. So patient hearing to them without jumping to conclusion, hearing them out, and many times because of our own experiences, like I am myself in the field for now full time for 10 years, we do jump to conclusion in 10 minutes. Now it depends on how many years you are there. Those many. So, doing that judgment-free zone to our this wonderful graduate will be really helpful. And I think be there, rain or shine, right? I think because they are going to go through a lot of turbulences and other things too, not only short term, not only 1 year, not only 6 months funding, but see if you can give 3-year funding, see if you can give 5-year funding. And I'm saying this specifically because, for Lend a Hand India itself, our very first institutional grant from Axis Bank was for 5 years. For 100 schools, and that sort of changed the game for us, in the entire process. Even on the impact assessment side, Doraji Tata Trust gave us 10 lakhs rupees to do the impact assessment. And that is what helped us to build the case going forward. So I would urge all of you to think about this going forward as well, right? Now, quickly moving to our, other side of the coin, the people who are graduating today, again, leap of faith, right? I mean, this is going to serve you for a lifetime, this particular elephant going for a monkey, and other things too, to look at it. And when you really want something to happen, the whole world is conspire, right? I mean, this the gathering that we have today and the people that you will meet in the future as well, which is the famous, it is only, I think the only variable is how bad you really want it, in the first place. But remember, even miracles will take time. So don't have to rush, don't have to like something will happen right away. Somebody told me that, we have ended up in this issue over 30 years. So don't think that you will be able to solve it in 2 years or 1 year, right? It is going to take a while to get there. But you have to do more with less. This is a scene from a documentary called Making of Superman of Malegaon. So is this Malegaon is known for making the spoofs. and this is a spoof on the Superman. And see how they are filming the Superman special effects, and the whole film was made for nearly 2 lakhs rupees. So I will highly recommend you to watch this, to do this and be creative about it. And of course, as you are doing more with less, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. No, I mean, of course, good intentions will take you a long way, and this is that passport will take you to get there as well. But always keep in mind the Gabbar Singh's dialogue. Kitne aadmi the? We cannot forget the target which is in front of us. We cannot forget the number of schools they are supposed to work with. We cannot forget the number of students and other things too, because that also is equally important as we go forward. But expectation management is everything. As you can see here in this, rather than calling immediate assistant, they have put a word called immediate-ish, right? That ish word is, manage the expectation of the person who is ringing the bell in the first place. And we all know, whether personal life or professional life, it is all about managing expectation as you are going forward. But as you are, scaling your heights and going through and other things too, many times you'll have to make tough calls. You should be able to refuse a funding. You should be able to decline a partnership. You should be able to, say no to something with the temptation of saying yes. And that is where we are saying that, emperor has no clothes, and we should be able to tell that emperor that you are mute, right? In the first place. I think if I can say this is probably the most important thing and will make life very easy. That keep these two things outside, logos and egos. It doesn't matter who gets the credit at all. And Lendahan India also, I must say that we have been on this journey. We are not there yet, because it is very hard to give up your own fame and own credibility and validity and other things too. So I would say that keeping Lego and logos and egos out will help make your life very easy. Now, scaling up, right? I mean, today's topic is scaling up as well. And I was talking to somebody and I remember this tiger is there because I think many times the scaling up is like a tiger, riding a tiger in that sense. That the world thinks that you are riding a tiger, and all that. Riding it is like, how the hell do I get off from this tiger without getting eaten off, right? In that. So I would say choose your animal wisely, whether it is elephant, whether it is horse, whether it is a tiger or whatever, as you get onto this scaling up journey as such. But you will have to have an attitude of "Aa bhai mujhe maar." Nobody is going to invite you. Nobody is going to seek you out and other things too. You are the one who is going to go, and regardless of how difficult it means or looks like, you are going to say that yes, I'm here to face you, right? But of course, we cannot do everything, but you will do everything that you can. There's nothing, no stone left unturned should be the way we are looking at it. But at the same time, we have to accept that 80% of the things we don't control. But for the 20% of the things that are controlled, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen. And in the process, we should feel that nothing is beneath you. I think here this Gandhiji's, Gandhiji's quote about dignity of labor is very, very important. Never, as Lendahan and myself as well, we never think too full of ourselves. Nothing is beneath you. Whatever comes to it, go ahead and do it, right? But keep calm and keep doing what you are doing, because at the end of the day, I know we all are passing through very difficult times nowadays, and graduating during this time, and the fundraising is tough, hiring is tough, access is tough. But just believe in this phrase called "this too shall pass," and it will pass, right? And as they say, just do it. I think the Nike has made a great use of this swoosh by saying just do it in a very 3 simple words. But as we do all this, remember, small is beautiful. Enjoy the journey. Don't kill yourself that I haven't reached 1,000 schools, that I haven't reached 10,000 villages, or I haven't reached this number of petitions, whatever. Enjoy the journey as well, because that is what will keep going longer and too. And don't take yourself too seriously, okay? Because I think many times it happens that you forget to enjoy, you forget to and not taking yourself too seriously will help you to laugh off your failures. And even today, at least once a day, I tell myself, what the hell were you thinking when you did this, and all that. And when you laugh at yourself, other laughing at you, you can take it much more easier. It won't bite you as much as it would have been otherwise, right? But you must remember, you will get what you give at the end of the day. So empathy, I think that is utmost important, whether it is a funder, whether it is a family members, whether it is a government partner you are working with, or whether it is, whoever your employees, your co-founder, or your, whoever, that empathy is the thing which will carry you the most. And as you make it in this world, don't forget who helped you when you were nothing, right? Or when your idea was just a concept, or you were making a pitch like this. So the gratitude will take you all the way where you are going to go, right? So congratulations to the class again. I just showed my contact details. Happy to be in touch, but wonderful talking to you, and thanks to Nudge to giving this opportunity to talk to all of you.
Thank you so much, Raj. You filled in a book's worth of advices in your crisp 5-minute talk. And I think if I were one of the founders, I would take you up on this opportunity to get introduced to big people through you.
Sure.
Thank you. And
how do I stop the presentation? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think my colleagues can help you with that. Okay, so continuing with our cohort showcase, next we present Intellify. Intellify is creating a platform to help students assess and enhance their cognitive skills.
25,000 crores. No, that is not the GDP of a country, nor the cost of sending a man to the moon. 25,000 crores is the annual amount spent by parents on private tuition for their children. In the present school ecosystem, lessons are designed keeping in mind the average student, not those falling behind or not those who excel. This creates a big drive for private tuitions, even for children as young as 5. Millions of students from government schools and low-income private schools do not even have this as an option to improve their learning. At Intellify, we want to make learning easy and personalized for students who do not have access to expensive resources. Currently, we offer 3,000 plus hours worth of learning to understand lessons in local languages and thousands of assessments for students. Our AI platform, with a question bank of 500,000 questions, also helps teachers to easily create and conduct assessments. Our 5,000 plus volunteers, primarily students from various IITs and other premium colleges in India, mentor students and help clear their doubts, apart from creating the video content. Today, we reach more than 1.5 lakh plus students and teachers through various learning channels. We at Intellify dream to improve learning outcomes for millions of students in India.
I invite Ujjwal Thakur, who is the Nudge CSI partner of Intellify, to share a little more about their work. Ujjwal, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Ujjwal Thakur here. I've had the privilege of being a mentor to Intellify and to Amar. Both my incubators have gone through tough times with COVID. Losing a partner or a co-founder in the last 6 months, but they've wonderfully adjusted to the loss of a partner and moved really ahead with what they were doing. In the case of Intellify, it was originally created to be a platform that would encourage creativity and innovation for underprivileged kids. I mean, there are 400 million kids in this country. 300 million of them would be underprivileged with no opportunity. With no opportunity to be heard, to earn dignity in their life. And this was what drove Amar and company to start Intellify. Let me tell you that Amar is a serial entrepreneur while still at the IIT. He started his first startup in road safety when 3 of his senior colleagues died in a road crash. And today it's one of the largest organizations in the country on road safety. So it's in his gene, it's in his DNA. So when COVID happened, I mean, in the course of the last 6 months, he quickly pivoted and said, okay, right now, innovation and creativity are important, but more important is the curriculum. And because parents are now feeling a loss, feeling that children are not going to school or not going to college, what can we do for them? So very quickly in the last 6 months, she shifted focus and created lots of quizzes, lots of curriculum, both for the central board, for UP board, and has created content in Bengali, Hindi, English, and Tamil, which is a great achievement for someone sitting in Delhi in COVID times. We've managed to get 3,000 volunteers and who've done all this work, real high quality work. And given Amar's background, a chemical engineer from IIT, who left a job at NatWest Capital Markets, he could have been making millions there, went to UPenn to do a program in NGO management, and came back to India to do what he loves. So obviously he's going to be doing wonderful work. Today, his YouTube channel has more than 100,000 followers. I can very well see that over the next 6 months to a year, there'll be millions of followers that someone like Amar would have. It could be the Khan Academy of India. And so let me wish him the very best on his efforts. He can take all the money you guys can give him. The ability to absorb crores is there because he's going to impact on millions. So open your purses and hearts, guys, and support Amar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ujjwal, for that vote of confidence on Amar. Moving on, we have Suvita that is working to ensure every child is vaccinated by giving appropriate reminders and nudges to mothers and leveraging government collaborations while doing so.
In India, one child dies every 4 minutes of a vaccine-preventable disease like measles, polio, diarrhea, and pneumonia. The government has made huge strides in strengthening last-mile immunization infrastructure, but communication with parents is still a barrier. Millions of children each year miss out on getting the right vaccine at the right time because parents lack the information on when or where to attend an immunization camp. We at Suvita are working to bridge this last-mile communication gap. We implement 2 programs to address this based on groundbreaking evidence from Nobel Prize-winning economists Abhijit Banerjee and colleagues. We send caregivers personalized SMS reminders every time their child is due for a vaccine throughout the child's immunization journey. Our technology backbone enables us to deliver customized reminders while also being highly scalable. To complement these reminders, we also harness offline social networks that are central to Indian villages. We identify opinion leaders and invite them to become immunization ambassadors. They use their knowledge of the local context to increase awareness and motivation around vaccines in the village.
वैसे से फायदा भाई है कि टाइम टाइम से आके सुई बच्चा के दिया भाषा आके को बोल रही है टाइम से बच्चा के पर सुई दिया
मैसेज से यही फायदा है कि मैसेज जाने से तारीख को बच्चे का टिकट पर
मेरे हस्बैंड के पास मैसेज आया है कि बच्चों को टिकट देना है डेट याद नहीं है टिकट
beneficial to their particular child, but it is also beneficial to the whole community that the children will be healthy and the nation will be strong.
As we scale our program to close the immunization gap, Suvita is working to safeguard a happy and healthy future for India's children.
Well, I request you to step again and discuss about your experience.
Hi. So my 6 months with this team has been a wonderful experience. Here again, it seems to be the mentor who causes the exit of co-founders. In this case too, we've had an exit of a co-founder. But this is an international team based in London, working in Bihar and Maharashtra and doing an excellent job. Also, to my mind, they're probably the thematically most important organization at this point in time. They're working to improve the effectiveness of government's investments in immunization. You all know that government spends thousands of crores of rupees to protect the future by immunizing our kids. And whilst over the years there has been a significant improvement in the levels of immunization, it may be in its 80s or 90%, but even at 10% in a population like India could be 20 to 30 million children. And imagine 20 years from today, 30 million children who are not immunized and therefore are not well. So the importance of this work is humongous. Reaching the last mile, reaching children in the remotest corners, creating models that can be used anywhere in the world. This is what Varsha and Fiona have been doing over the last 6 months. To my mind, the most important aspect or their relevance today in COVID times is that the same technology that they use, or a combination of SMSs and the village level gossip, as Abhijit Banerjee calls it. I didn't win a Nobel, so I can't call them gossips, I call them ambassadors, to really influence the last mile. It will be very important when it comes to COVID. They're already doing with our team from Harvard in Bihar to see what the right things are during the COVID crisis, how to get the right habits out. So very clearly their technology, their experience can be pivoted to the COVID times. And when the COVID vaccine is finally there, the important challenge is to reach 1.3 billion people. And I'm sure Varsha and Fiona will be able to do that. So let me give you a quick background of Varsha and Fiona that will reinforce your confidence. Varsha has a master's from London School of Economics and Development Economics, has worked with the World Bank, has worked in countries across the world, and is very senior and very experienced. Fiona, on the other hand, is a fresh first-class graduate from Cambridge University in natural sciences, has interned with the World Health Organization, has worked in Tanzania. And this combination, to my mind, is a very good combination of youthful energy and experience. And with the right passion, they're going to solve the big problems of the world. So guys, they're asking for 1.17 crores. Support them with more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ujjwal. Thank you for putting their work in context to the situation we are in now, and hope immunization is transformed and delivered well. To all the audience, a very quick reminder. So you have the connect cards, and you're also evaluating and jotting down your favorite organizations. Just to tell you very quickly, connect cards are in the chat window, so you could indicate who you want to get connected to. And voting will open very soon. We've listened to 6 organizations to start their work, and a couple more, and then we'll get to voting. So now I present Humsafar. Humsafar is equipping truck drivers in India with safety tools and using artificial intelligence to reduce the occurrence of road accidents.
I'm MJ Han, son of a truck driver. When my father spent months on the road, my family worried about his safe return home. India constitutes 1% of the world's vehicles, but comprises 6% of global road accidents. Every day, over 400 people lose their lives in road accidents. 65% of these involved are truck drivers. When I started working with my father, I traveled the length and breadth of the country as a cleaner. This made me realize the inherent lack of safety concerns. The drivers start their careers as a cleaner, learn to drive on the job. The absence of any centralized or formal training leads to bad driving skills getting passed down. I found that 80% of the accidents-related deaths were due to human error and could be avoided by better safety measures. It took me 10 years to build one of the safest trucking companies in India. Since 8 out of 10 truckers in India are single fleet owners, they just cannot afford the expensive safety solutions that are available to large transport companies. This inspired us to build Humsafar, a free AI-based road safety solution that works on drivers' mobile phones. It helps truck drivers improve their driving skill by giving them gentle nudges when they're driving badly and providing rewards when they're driving well. Think of us as a virtual driving instructor who's always there for the truck driver. Through Humsafar, my dream is to make life better and safer for India's 8 million truck drivers and millions of other commuters.
I invite Gopi Chand Katragata, the Nudge CSI partner of Humsafar, to speak a little more about their work and your experience with them.
Sure, Rini. It's so difficult to beat that video of Jahan's told such a personal story. Of course, I was intimately involved with that personal story over the past 6 months, which I think is a privilege. Jahan always looked at the question, what can I do for others? And his partner in crime, Sumed, was the one who operationalized it. So he was always asking the question, how can I make this happen? I think that was a wonderful partnership and it'll continue and make all of this a reality. And already they have been making a significant impact. Jahan is also the person who thinks, and Sumed, of course, goes and operationalizes it. But they're working in an area which requires their effort and the effort that they have been able to garner to make this a reality. So freight management is a critical part of economic development. India will double its GDP, and that will not drive the freight management. Freight management will actually help double our GDP, because the movement of goods is an essential part of how we will increase our GDP. And by increasing GDP, it's not just about numbers, it's about providing livelihoods and providing an essential standard of life to our citizens. So we will double from 200 billion to 400 billion. So that's a large opportunity economically. And like Jahan said, we have 8 million drivers. Does it mean that 8 million drivers will become 16 million or more? Probably not. Hopefully we'll get more efficient vehicles and we can get that amount of freight moving for lesser increase in the number of drivers. But also, Jahan mentioned the helpers. We today have 12 million helpers, and that will continue to grow as well. And we have talked about COVID, and the drivers are one of the most hit communities of COVID. But also from a business standpoint, the fleet owners have been hit the maximum. So this is something that you will never notice talking to Jahan, who's both a fleet owner and a person interested in ensuring the safety, not only of his drivers, but of the world of drivers out there. The truck drivers have significant amount of issues, as you can imagine, which Jahan experienced firsthand traveling with them as their helper. So work pressures to get to places on time, their payments are not made on time, they don't get enough sleep, they'll have to sacrifice sleep, food comes when it comes. Road conditions are so bad that the amount of accidents in India are high for that reason. Their health takes beating because of the stress involved, and obviously the relationships are a mess because of the time spent on the road. And in this plethora of areas, of course, the team would like to solve all of them, but they started off looking at safety, which for Jahan was dear to his heart, having seen personally what happens on the road. And this is an area where they have made significant progress over the past 6 months, and gives me great confidence in their ability to deliver what they have set out to do. They, of course, based on their pilots, decided that right motivation was required to keep the drivers engaged. It's not sufficient to say, hey, we are going to give you an app, please install. So they pivoted, and they have created ability to reward drivers, best truck driver of the month, and so many kilometers of safe driving, and so much is deposited. As part of the COVID, they ran the Horn Bajao campaign and looked to government for assistance. But when they didn't see it forthcoming to the level they wanted, they went about it on their own, looking at COVID insurance, finance, and wealth management for the drivers. Their technology is absolutely just fantastic. The user interface is something which I believe will entice the drivers as well. Simple and transparent to the user, that actually it uses AI to do some of the aspects of recognizing issues of safety and prompting them to be more safe. And we spent a lot of time together, and also my team, Vasant, we enjoyed working with them on technology. People like Anita Kaveri of the Institute of Engineering and Technology talked about their own plans and how it could mesh with what Humsafar was doing. They were looking at a mobility solution to take into the rural sector, health solution, financial solutions, and educational solutions. So Jehan and Sumed were all excited about it and took some elements of that into their solutions. Even the brass tacks, we worked on MOU to make sure that their aspects of not-for-profit and for-profit were adequately bucketized. And technically also some run-of-the-mill things like hypothesis testing. I really enjoyed working with this team. I believe that they're here to make a difference. They are extremely well qualified, but more importantly, they have the right intent and the ability to convert intent into something real. So they require our continued support, and I'm sure we will provide that. Thank you, Rini.
Thanks, Gopi.
Thanks, Priya.
So our chief guest, Shri Ajay Prakash Sahani is here. So before we do the next video showcase, I would like to invite Harish Krishnan, MD Public Affairs and Strategic Engagement. Harish leads Cisco's strategic engagement with national and state governments of India on a wide range of public policy issues that concern Cisco in India. Harish, can you introduce our chief guest?
Mr. Sani, thank you very much for joining. Welcome to the graduation ceremony of the third cohort of the Cisco Atal Innovation Mission and the NUTS Center of Social Innovation. I know these are COVID times and these are busier times than normal. I think all of us are busy in front of a screen somewhere. The good news is that WebEx business has gone 400% up, and you always wanted us to have a data center in India, and Cisco is going to invest in a WebEx data center in India to manage the traffic. So that will give you some happiness. In the audience today, we have got about 100 people participating. They are the entrepreneurs, they are the mentors, philanthropists, and funders. We'll also have Ramana joining us from Atal Innovation Mission shortly. This is a part of a broader Cisco CSR initiative, and I would like to take a few minutes to give you a high-level view of what we do in Cisco CSR. If you have like a one-line descriptor, Cisco Corporate Social Responsibility is to provide digital acceleration to the social sector. We work with the best of the nonprofits that are focused on digital innovation, and we work on a very hands-on approach. And it's not about writing a check and leaving it for the NGOs to run it with it. We work very hands-on. Our Cisco employees participate with the NGOs in the effort. And we also make every proposal go through two gates. One is to see how core technology is for that initiative. And secondly, is there a possibility of a government partnership? Because ultimately, all these things that we do in CSR can scale only if we tie it to some government program. So these are two important gates that we have. In 2018, we adopted a resolution of impacting 50 million lives in India by the year 2025. I'm happy to inform you that by April 2020, we already impacted 21 million lives positively, and we are well on our way to meet our target of 50 million. If you look at our program, basically we're divided into four flagship projects. Can we move to the next slide? So basically we work across four projects. Project Learn, which is dealing with primary education K10 to +2. Project Skills and Training, which is higher education and career development. And Project Entrepreneurship and Livelihoods, which focus on career advancement. And apart from that, we also focus on something called critical human needs, where we tend to immediate needs, like, for example, what happened after the COVID-19. So under the Project Entrepreneurship and Livelihood is what this program comes under, and it is about promoting incubators and accelerators and creating micro entrepreneurs and new employment opportunities. We've been working with Nudge for over 4 years now and have had very high caliber talent graduates coming out of this incubation center. For this batch, we are very proud to note that 11 Cisco mentors have been directly engaged with them to help them shape their solution. These entrepreneurs have a right blend of social consciousness, motivation, passion, and acumen to take their vision to scale. I've personally spent some time with some of the entrepreneurs, and these young people are so much of an inspiration to each one of us when we interact with them. So on behalf of the Cisco team, I would like to wish them all the very best for the next stage of the startup journey. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ajay Sani, the Secretary, Ministry of Electronics, Information Technology, Government of India. He has played a key role in his long, illustrious career, and I have had the privilege of knowing Mr. Sani for over 20 years, right from his time in Andhra Pradesh government. He is one of the few IAS officers who has had the luxury of staying in one domain, IT, for long and contributing initially to Andhra Pradesh and now to India as a country. He is so very, very passionate about startups, and that is why we thought it would be so interesting to have him come and talk to us. And I think he's also so very passionate in promoting Indian companies. So Mr. Sani, welcome again, and we look forward to your inaugural address. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish, and very glad to be here on this occasion when a cohort of startups, that too, social entrepreneurs, social innovation startups are actually graduating today. I think it's a wonderful time to be in India and to be a startup. I wish I could get that opportunity again of sort of restarting, rebooting, my life and my career. I would probably not look at coming into the government. I would probably not look at many other opportunities. I think almost definitely look at the possibility of entrepreneurship, and if it's social entrepreneurship, I think something even more important for the country. So I was in on the conversation for about 10 minutes before before 6. So I've seen some of the conversation happen. I have seen some of the interesting entities that are participating, and it's very exciting to see this kind of work going on in the country and being supported by Cisco. So in India, actually, we are moving from a period when we have had very powerful IT services businesses towards IT products. I think that trend is unmistakable now. And products include small and tiny products. Some of them are sort of simply take the form of an app, and then as an app they grow in our ecosystem. Their presence becomes very important and compelling for many people. But there are also more significant software products that are taking shape in the country today. And then we also have on another level, I think we've started becoming a place for electronics manufacturing, design and manufacturing to happen. So India has also seen a tremendous upsurge in the number of mobile phones that get assembled in India. I'm saying assembled because the moment I say manufactured, someone will come up and say, oh, you're only assembling. But I would like to mention that whether any country in the world, whichever country it is, and whoever actually produces mobile phones, actually everyone in the world assembles a mobile phone. So in case of China, it is the value add is about 40%, 45% in a smartphone. and the remaining things come from various other countries in the supply chain. If it is Vietnam, it is maybe they have reached about 30% or so, and we are at about 20%, 18 to 19%, and we are also moving in that direction. So the second thing that is happening in India is the electronic manufacturing. Luckily for us, we have attracted wonderful response to our recent production linked incentive scheme, and I expect the numbers that are put forward by the manufacturers amount to about 11 lakh crore of incremental manufacturing over and above what we have done in 2019-20. That much of incremental manufacturing in India over the next 4 years and 8 months. And starting August, although it's already started actually. And during that period, about 7 lakh crores of exports. So this is what is sort of brought to the table by manufacturers. It's a huge opportunity, and we expect component ecosystem to happen alongside. There's also a tremendous growth in the nationwide platforms that are taking shape. I always like to mention Aadhaar as the very first platform that we have been able to implement quite well at the national scale, followed by UPI, which has had amazing success in promoting digital payments, followed by government e-marketplace and GSTN, which has given us a unified kind of a taxation system. And very recently, Honorable Prime Minister had announced the National Digital Health Mission. He not only announced it, actually launched the mission. It's now operational in 6 union territories across the country, and by end of this year, I expect that we will start moving it for implementation in other parts of the country as well. Similar missions are what does this kind of national platform do? It unifies a very large number of projects and activities that have been happening in each of the domains. So through a health ID for every Indian, through a personal health record, which is under the control of the person concerned, which can be shared by the person with his physician or his dentist or his whoever provides the health services, a common doctor's registry, a common facility registry for hospitals, etc. So starting with immunization. Immunization was the subject matter of one of the startups work that one of the startups is doing. Now all of that, from care at the time of pregnancy of a mother, to childbirth, to immunization, to early childhood care, to care by Anganwadis, nutrition and early learning, to care in school, which is then more of education and also has a school health component. So one by one, these platforms will start coming up, and they knit together all of the activity that happens. They provide a mechanism for knitting together, for weaving together all kinds of activities that are happening both through government investment and enabling private enterprises, enabling the startups, enabling the innovators to actually mount their services on top of the nationwide platform. As an example, we already had a wonderful conventional banking system, a huge conventional banking system, large number of organized banks, very systematically organized, very well regulated by RBI. On top of that, when a lightweight platform like the UPI came into being, Bhim UPI, Bhim was the reference app, but soon making use of UPI, others came up. PhonePe came up, which today is owned by, which was owned by Flipkart, which is now owned by, of course, Walmart. Paytm came up. After that, Google created Tez and Google Pay came up. Amazon has joined Pay, and many other Indian entities, Bharat Pay and various others have come in into UPI. And, you know, none of them could have done this on their own, what they have been able to do. None of them would have been able to connect to all the banks in India. None of them would have had access to the entire banking ecosystem of the country. UPI as a lightweight platform made that happen. And someone who joins UPI as a payment service provider today gets a ready-made platform. You don't have to build from the ground up. You actually have a, you know, the first 20 stories of the building already available to you. You come in and start your work from the 21st story onwards and try to reach for the sky. Still, huge amount of work has to be done, but at a national scale, you are getting a platform, you are getting a foundation. So I wanted to underscore the importance of the work that is going on to bring alive, to conceptualize, to design, to construct these platforms, to get all the stakeholders on board. Stakeholders include central government, state governments, local governments, city governments, and many others. Get them on board, weave together a nationwide platform, and then provide systematic opportunities to the industry to build on top of these. So this is the third significant, you know, trend that I would like to draw your attention to. And it'll move very shortly. We will see similar activity in education, in agriculture and primary sector, land linked to agriculture, in an interoperable criminal justice system, you know, combining the strength of e-courts with policing, with investigation, with forensics, with prisons, all of these in one large, you know, interwoven system, interoperable system. Similarly, jobs and skills, you know, separate implementations are there. But how do you sort of bring it together in one national scale ecosystem where it's not just the governments that are participating, it's also industry. And together as Team India, we are able to actually innovate and provide better and better services to the people. So this is the third trend I wanted to mention. The fourth strength that we have today is the presence of very fine, very high quality young institutions. Institutions whose name is very impressive. You know, IITs, triple ITs, NITs, ICERs, the AIMS. AIMS there used to be only one, and now there are many. IITs used to be 5 and then 6 and then 7, and suddenly there are many, many, many more. And all of these, every state really has IITs, ICERs, so many new institutions. Suddenly it's there in small towns. The democratization of high quality education is happening much, much more. It's available all over the place. And we are seeing innovation come from these new locations. High quality institutions, high quality opportunities, and people in India are able to show what they are able to do when given an opportunity. We are seeing some of the best innovation in financial payment sector come from small towns. Eventually, still you know, Bangalore and Pune and Hyderabad and Gurgaon and all these, and Chennai, They still act as magnets, but it starts in small cities. And there are many who actually stay in small cities and create fairly big businesses. Some of our best software product businesses are today run from tiny cities, tiny places. And I'm sure many more will happen. So this is another tremendous strength that we have today. And finally, this, the entire world of technology, all the major technology companies in the world today have a significant presence in India. That presence many years ago started with outsourcing and BPOs. That presence today, and most of you are well aware of this, that presence today is far more of the nature of R&D centers, of the nature of research centers, of the nature of design and implementation and creation of new products, of new services for the entire globe by Indians, largely Indian engineers, Indian designers, working in these centers which are set up by some of the finest technology companies of the world. All of that is happening here in India by Indian engineers, by Indian designers. That's another huge strength. It's time for us to recognize what kind of a strength we all have. I think when we were faced by the pandemic, we saw something a little unexpected happen. Around 15 youngsters from the industry came together and said, we want to create an app to monitor and help with the spread of, manage the spread of COVID and help the people. And they started creating Arogya Setu with some help from the Niti Aayog. And about a few of us from the government joined in. We found this was the best among such similar efforts that had started. We selected this team, and in 21 days, just 21 days, 3 weeks, not only was an app developed, it was taken through an acid test. It was made to walk through fire, which was lit by an amazing team in IIT Chennai, IIT Madras. Performance testing. Serious look at the performance testing. Will it withstand, will it stand up to the requirement of scaling to 10 million, to 50 million, to 100 million? 21 days is what it took a team of 15 persons. Of course, eventually there were about 25, 30 because everyone wanted to join that team. But just imagine 15 persons helped by a few, maybe 3, 4, 5 persons within the government, by 1 or 2 companies which help them, with some guidance also in between. And in 21 days, you are able to come up with an app which finally, eventually, it landed up with 15 crore. It is having more than 15 crore downloads today. And I can tell you, I have interacted with this team very closely. I can tell you that we in India have not just 100, not just 1,000. We probably have tens of thousands of such teams among us. And maybe you are one of those. Your team is one of those. We have the capability, when challenged, when incentivized, to come up with something which can be the finest in the world, which can scale, and no other country other than one of our neighbors can provide that kind of a huge market which is open for you to try out your technologies, to try out your products and services. And it's possible for us. We have never set our ambitions that high. I think it's time for us to do things not just emulating, not just adapting what has already been done elsewhere. India has a unique set of problems to solve, whether it is in healthcare, it is in education, it is in transportation, it is in safety and security, it is in environment and pollution, it is in the care we give to elderly, any area that we have amazing number of problems which are all trying to be solved. And in solving these problems, I think we should aim to design our solutions with India as the starter set and the globe. The next 6 billion people as the market. This is the message that I would like to leave with all of you. You're all very capable teams. You have the capability to, you have been recognized, you have been mentored, you have been groomed, you have been guided, and you are graduating today. I'm sure there'll be plenty more waiting in the wings to come in for the next cohort and many more. And there are many more that will be helped by other companies and other initiatives of the industry and of the government. The primary message that I want to leave with you is to aim to solve real life problems, create solutions, treat India as your karma bhumi. India is where you refine, where you create your product, where you refine your product, where you try out your product, where you succeed with your product. Keep it Indian, but design it to serve the global market. Happy to be with you and happy to lend you support at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I know that the startups always bring the passion in you, and that is very evident today. I know that he always says that, I like Cisco, but I want Indian companies to kind of prosper, and he always kind of encourages to, go down this path. I want to recognize that my colleague Krishna Sundaresan, who is the head of our engineering team, is also here. He spends a lot of time with these young entrepreneurs, and a lot of know-how kind of gets transferred to the point that you were talking about, and we're doing it in a very conscious way. Ramana from Atal Innovation Mission is also here, so I want to welcome Ramana too. So you've been very generous with your time. I had promised that I'll take only 30 minutes of your time. I know we have run over the time. So thank you very much. You have been so kind, and I'm seeing a lot of messages in the chat box about the clarity of your thinking and the generosity of your time. So I want to once again thank you on behalf of Cisco, Nudge Foundation, and Atal Innovation Mission. And hopefully we can have these face-to-face meetings. Until then, let me do a plug for you, and say that we're doing the next best thing by doing it on WebEx. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and we are ready with competition for WebEx. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Indian products. We have lined up many. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. So we will continue, Priya and Rini.
Yeah.
I just want to welcome Ramana if he's there.
Yeah.
Hi, Harish.
Hey, Ramana.
Priya, how are you?
We are doing good, Mr. Ramanan. So you missed 7 of the organization's video, but we have 2 more to go. So I'm hoping that you can see those, and then we will move to the next section.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Harish. Thank you, Shri Ajay ji. Thank you, Ramanan. Thanks, Priya. Continuing with the video showcase, we have Energy Harvest, an organization that leverages artificial intelligence to map, collect, and process crop residue from harvesting into biofuel.
Breathing in Delhi's winter is like smoking 50 cigarettes a day. A major cause of this air pollution is burning of stubble in the bordering states of Punjab and Haryana. Thousands of acres of paddy straw left over after harvesting is burned by farmers who put themselves at risk, as they have no choice. They do not have the means to access expensive collection machinery nor a ready market to sell the straw during the short window between harvest. I am Sukhmeet Singh, and with my co-founder, Dr. Robert Berry, started Energy Harvest, which is supported by Aston University and Oglesby Charitable Trust. The aim of Energy Harvest is to solve the crop residue burning problem. We provide specialized machinery to farmer entrepreneurs to collect straw from nearby villages, and our machine learning model identifies the areas where stubble is standing, enabling quick collection of the straw during the small window between harvests. We then work with the industry to buy the straw and convert into biofuels like pellets or organic fertilizer. This not only reduces pollutants in the air and provides green fuel alternatives, but also provides the farmers with an alternate source of income from their waste, thus converting the waste into an opportunity for change. This winter, Energy Harvest is trying to stop 6,000 acres of straw from being burned, helping citizens breathe easier and farmers earn more.
I again invite Gopi Chand, the anchor partner for Energy Harvest, to please speak a little more about their work.
Thanks, Rini. One thing about Sukhmeet is always on, always thinking about how to stop the issue of stubble burning. And just based on that and based on his background, is going to make a huge difference to this problem that we are facing. But I'll take another angle to this problem before coming back to the stubble. One of India's major requirement over the next few years is to be able to double power generation. In order to provide 100 million new jobs, it is going to be fueled by energy. In order to be innovative, it's going to be fueled by energy. The currency of innovation is energy. So we have to move from today's 400 gigawatts to 800 gigawatts. And this will provide the basic livelihood to our population. So even at that, we will be lesser than the world average. We'll be bringing down the world average. So we need to be thinking about also last mile inclusion strategies as we grow our energy capabilities. We need to be thinking about smart measurements and drive tech transfer for mega projects as well. In this ecosystem of energy, 18 gigawatts can be generated from biomass of agricultural residue, according to one study which came out of Indian Institute of Science, which is the most quoted study. Of course, there are many more which offer 75 gigawatts also can be produced. But the biggest problem of producing energy from agricultural residue and forest residue is that they are not easy to collect, and there is a lot of energy required in order to collect them. So there's no point sending around gas guzzling methods of collecting the fuel and then producing energy from that fuel and not being aware of the end-to-end gain that we are getting. So in all this, Sukhmeet has spent a good amount of thought and energy in looking at what makes sense. But then the angle of stubble burning and the pollution it creates, because you're burning it all in one go in a manner which is not controlled is very important. So 35 million tons of crop waste from paddy is burnt. And this can be turned around and used as fuel, and that is what they're trying to do and accomplish. Now, I'm so impressed with the kind of thinking. You could have picked a for-profit model only. You could have picked an easier problem for the not-for-profit. But this is a difficult problem. It is a problem worth solving. It is a real problem, to Ajay Sawhney's earlier point. And Sukhmeet and team have the capability. Sukhmeet, of course, is an engineer, but he's also an ISB graduate. And his team is extremely capable in looking at this, of course, from a technology standpoint. But also they have been in the field with the farmers, rounding up what needs to be done. But more importantly, I think they've used this time and what Encore has provided effectively to partner with Cisco and do farm fire identification as a platform. The platform will also connect farmers, machinery owners, and straw buyers for collection and sale of straw. This is extremely good work accomplished in a short time, and Sukhmeet and team have done a wonderful job. Like I said, this is a tough problem, and they will require a good amount of help for a long period of time. So we will continue to support Sukhmeet on this wonderful journey he's undertaken to solve one of our most important problems. Over back to you, Reni. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really insightful. A quick update to the audience. We have the last organization presenting now. So we present to you One Step Forward Foundation's work. They work to increase scientific literacy among the underprivileged students.
Scientists have powered India's growth from food sufficiency to space exploration. They have changed a ravished colony into the world's fourth largest economy. The ongoing pandemic has once again put the spotlight on scientists. India's scientific future looks uncertain. With interest for science dwindling in Indian schools, aspirations for careers in science have fallen by 50% over the past decade. Government schools in India are severely under-resourced, posing significant challenges for teaching science. Only a quarter of all government schools have basic science labs. Furthermore, a staggering 6 out of 10 science teachers feel ill-trained and unsupported. The urge to change this narrative led us to establish a dedicated program called Prayogshala under our One Step Forward Foundation. By equipping schools with science labs and helping teachers conduct engaging science lessons using innovative teaching methods, we want to encourage children to explore, experiment, and reignite their interest and curiosity in science. We have also created simple data-driven measures to test learning outcomes. We have helped over 2,000 students across 4 states discover their interests in science through our in-classroom work. During the lockdown, we have partnered with open source learning platforms to empower 100+ teachers to engage children in science through online classes. At One Step Forward Foundation, we aspire to nurture over 100,000 thinkers and contribute to India's scientific future.
I'd like to invite their NUTS CSI partner, Surendra Jain, to speak a little about their work and your experience with them.
Hi, good evening, everybody. These are obviously very unusual times. And I think at the start of this cohort, I don't think any one of us imagined that we would be having this graduation event in this way. I think it's, while that's unusual, for all of us, it's for a lot more personal reason, a lot more unusual for the One Step team and all of us. in a very unfortunate turn of events, Shashanka, who's the founder of One Step Foundation, is no longer with us. So I'd like, if I may, just a very, very brief 5 seconds moment of silence for us to honor his memory, if I may. Thank you. I think coming to One Step Foundation itself and the huge work that Shashanka and his team have done, we all are aware of the challenge of science education itself, which I think we all are aware about. Even within that, an aspect which is even more challenging is how to give practical aspects, because that's one of the biggest things which actually, if it's missing, then it weans people away. And if it's done well, it actually ignites people's interest in science. And that, how do you do in government schools, underfunded private schools, is a big challenge. And that's the big problem that One Step team under Shashanka has been attacking. As you would have just briefly realized, they've come up with an innovative solution called Prayogshala, which was making that happen in schools for teachers to be able to conduct practicals in a very engaging way, which I think actually has a dramatic improvement on what kids take away from sciences, and more importantly, actually ignites their curiosity and makes them lifelong learners. They've also used the challenge of COVID times to actually think about scale. How do you scale, beyond what they were doing on their own? And part of that was to engage with teachers in an online format, to be able to actually train the teachers to eventually be conducting these experiments, which enable their students to conduct these experiments in their own homes using commonly available materials. And I think that's a very exciting and interesting way to think about science experiments. So I think, look, I think it's a problem which it's an issue which needs to be addressed. And One Step Foundation has made huge strides in figuring out, thinking about what could be viable ways to make that happen. So my all the best and my best wishes to the team going forward. Thank you, Rini. Back to you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Escape. As you mentioned, and some of us already know, that there's been a very unfortunate and very early demise of the co-founder Shashanka a couple of weeks ago. So I'd request their co-founder Krishna Kumar Pant to please share a few words about Shashanka.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think this has been a very extremely challenging time for us. Very, very untimely. In fact, he was I was more of a enabler, I would say, and he was more of a executioner and the person who had the entire thought and the passion behind this. And this is something which is, I think, Shashanka's pet project, which I was completely sold upon. And that's how we came together and we started working together. And I think it has been a great journey, because he not only thought of first the pedagogy, then he thought of the delivery, then the content, complete, and the impact evaluation. It was the complete cycle he was involved into. And that was something which he had the complete understanding. We started with our program was started first with the schools directly in Delhi, wherein, when I'm talking of the pre-COVID times, then we started doing this. And, then we started learning a lot when we were going to the, slum areas for the schools, either from the government sector or the private sector. And we started learning getting a lot of data and understanding their problems. And then I think because of the background of Shashank about his understanding about the whole thing, we started delivery through our fellows, and fellows means our ground forces. And those were the people who were really extremely, first very thorough training was imparted to them, and then they started working on the ground. And then we were having the weekly interaction with our fellows, then direct interaction with the students. And then we scaled up with the the Nudge Foundation. Then we got a lot of excitement and support based upon. Then we started working with the teachers. We started creating the enablers in the form of teachers from the 4 states. And now we are running the program in 4 states for the enabling the teachers to deliver the same content, same this thing, and through the same process. And then through the same impact evaluation, we are going to touch upon the lives of the poor children. And our mission now, after Shashank's demise, is for the entire team is to be, more than responsible than what we were earlier. We are more than responsible for honoring the mission and the objective, which, one of our founders had right in his brain. And the kind of passion which he has, ignited rather more than what we had that passion. It has been ignited more than what it was there earlier. And we solicit your support for, I think, going forward. This will be a great tribute to not only the foundation, but I think the whole cause what we have. We look forward to the support from, I think, all the prospective donors and all the people associated with it. And we thank you very much to the Nudge Foundation for really incubating us and giving us the opportunity for working and extending our work in this field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krishna, for sharing your thoughts and sharing the perspective with which you're taking this loss and sense of urgency to, extend his work forward. We pray for strength to his family, friends, and the close community. A very quick update to all the lovely patient audience. We have heard from all the organizations so far, and if this were a physical gathering, we'd all be applauding. So we thought it apt to introduce a virtual applause right now. Thank you. Thank you to the founder organizations. Thank you to the supporters, the CSI partners, mentors, Cisco team for extending this amazing support to the last 6 unimaginable months. We're at this point now where I'd earlier mentioned that your decision matters. So please use the voting link that is displayed here as well as put up in the chat window to select the most inspiring idea you've heard this evening. Your vote will help us finalize the top 3 organizations of this cohort. I'll leave you to it. I'll give you a couple of minutes to please vote.
I think we'll spend maybe another 10 seconds. The voting link is in the chat box. If any of you have not voted, please do that. We really need your help to decide the top 3. Okay. So, team, if we think that we have enough votes, and that if we think that most of the audience has voted, maybe while we wait for the results, we can invite Mr. Ramanan to speak a few words.
Priya, can I assume that the mentors are not voting?
Everybody can vote.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, Mr. Ramanan, maybe team, can I invite Mr. Ramanan to speak, or do we need another few seconds?
We can go ahead, Priya.
Okay, perfect. All right. And you can keep voting while Mr. Ramanan is also talking. So great pleasure to invite Mr. Ramanan, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, to share a few words. And then by the time we will count the votes and we'll have the results ready for you, and Mr. Ramanan can also announce those results for us. Mr. Ramanan, over to you.
Thank you, Priya, and good evening to everybody who has joined today. And I know it's pretty late in the evening and you've had a long set of sessions. So I don't want to be imposing on you further through my talk, because once I start talking, it's difficult for me to stop. So I'm going to keep it brief as much as possible. I'd like to first of all thank Encore Foundation. I'd like to thank Harish Menon from Cisco, and I'd like to thank all the other organizers for organizing this wonderful webinar event, which is also honoring, or which is also recognizing your graduation of 9 startups. And I have gone through the details of these startups, and they are all brilliant in terms of their, both in terms of the concept that they are trying to that they have evolved in trying to solve a problem that is of pressing nature to our country. You've also had a wonderful talk by Mr. Ajay Sani, who talked about the need for these innovations in India, the relevance of innovations, the need for the same, the ability that we have in being able to come up with very innovative solutions across the country, and for us to be able to tap this enormous innovative potential knowledge capital that we enjoy in terms of youthful energy that is permeating across the country. So it is indeed very creditable that Encore has organized in a very short period of time. The incubator has made tremendous advancements, both in terms of awakening the interests of the startup communities in and around Bangalore and across the country. You have both physical as well as virtual startups. And at the same time, you have also been able to bring the benefits of social innovation, because India's progress is all about socio-economic progress. We are a very large country. We have 1.3 billion people. As the Honorable Prime Minister has said, Atmanirbhar Bharat is what we are all trying to establish. And to establish Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have to strengthen the 5 pillars that he has very adroitly pointed out, which are needed for us to strengthen. First is the demographic dividend that we talk about. We have 1.4 million schools, 10,500 engineering and related institutions, 39,000 colleges, and 150 million young students entering into the workplace. We have to make sure that when the future of the country, which is of 1.3 billion people, rides on the shoulders of this 150 million students, that we empower them and give them every possible opportunity to become job creators, to become innovators, and not just job seekers. And the Atal Innovation Mission has been steadily engaged over the last couple of years in trying to make that happen, in creating first and foremost a culture of innovation spreading and permeating across the country at different levels, at schools, colleges, universities, the industry, at the NGO level, at state level, at district level, and at a national level. And the second thing is to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship so that young students don't have to go somewhere else in order to exercise their innovative potential or their entrepreneurial spirit. You don't have to go to the US or Singapore or other countries. Can we create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship in India that enables you who are brimming with ideas to be able to give expression to those ideas through the form of a startup and be able to grow? And that is why these incubators are being sponsored by the Atal Innovation Mission across the country. Today, we are very fortunate to have more than 100 incubators launched, with 70 of them operational, and close to 1,500 startups have emerged just in the last 2 years, which are currently existing, and quite a few have also graduated. And out of that, it is also heartening to note that more than 500 startups are women-led startups. So this is the power of being able to empower people in areas which they can flower and blossom, and including girl children, women entrepreneurs, because we are only 13% women entrepreneurs in our country. We need at least 50% of the entrepreneurs should be women, and 50% of the population is women. So how do we ensure that? And these are the ways in which the incubators which have been set up, both commercially driven as well as socially driven incubators, who would be able to enable our young entrepreneurs and people like you, who are part of this cohort and who are graduating. People like you are being supported so that you can give your dreams wings, and you are able to convert them into a real product, a real company that can potentially scale up and that can potentially make an impact, not only in India, but as the respected secretary said, across the world. We want Indian ingenuity to make global impact. And that is the possibility and that is the opportunity for India. We have already proved ourselves in the IT world, in the ITS world. We are a $150 billion IT, $180 billion ITS industry. And that sprung out of nowhere in the last 15, 20 years. The reason it sprung up was because we had given tremendous emphasis to our educational systems. And therefore, we were spawning multiple engineers, very bright engineers, but these engineers did not get exposed to problem solving, innovative thinking, and so many of us became job seekers, including me, including Harish. We started working for large companies who are providing services to other countries outside. But now, what has brought us here will not lead us to the next level. And what is required is the ability to actually create products, create solutions, create services, innovate, and become job creators for India to survive and thrive. And we can do that. I think Indian intellectual capital is second to none anywhere across the world. We have tremendous intellectual capability. Our thinkers, our engineers, our scientists, our doctors, our philosophers, our artists, everyone shines when they go abroad. Even Vivekananda shone when he went abroad, not in India first. But how do we make sure that in India they shine? How do we create 100 Steve Jobs, 100 Satya Nadellas, 100 Sundar Pichais, 100 Shantu Narayanan, or 100 Harish Krishnan in India? That is what we should try to do. And that is the capability. So I'm very happy that, and I saw the type of innovations that you have been creating. The second pillar that Atmanirbhar Bharat is all about is how do you focus on infrastructure? And when we talk of infrastructure, it is no longer just the physical infrastructure, which of course it needs addressing, which of course needs development, but also the digital infrastructure. And the last example of the education, which Shashanka and his team were responsible for, and I'm very sad to know about Shashanka's unfortunate demise. But that is exactly what we need, the ability to leverage digital highways, digital infrastructure to reach across to underprivileged communities, because we are a country with more than 715 districts. We have more than 8,000 towns in our country, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities. And everybody is trying to flock to the tier 1 cities. It's not a sustainable model. So how do we reach across to the remotest parts of the country, the remotest districts, hilly districts, coastal districts, tribal districts, and make sure that people there are having access to great healthcare, great education, clean drinking water, sanitation, affordable housing, waste management, and all the issues, and job creation and job enablement. This is why Atal Innovation Mission is also setting up community innovation centers across the country so that these community innovation centers would be able to dedicate some innovations required by that community, local community. If you're in Goa, how do you boost the tobacco, the cashew nut industry, the shipping industry, the fishing industry, or the tourism industry? How do you do that? That is what the innovation should focus, because that will create a tremendous number of jobs, new jobs, and it will enable Goa to develop in a very, very big way. And that is true with every village, 600,000 villages in our country. So that's the second part. Third pillar is the pillar of demand. Every one of you who is doing an innovation, you'll have to keep in mind how do you scale up, because the demands of India is huge. It is not a small. I mean, if you are meeting when I joined the Atal Innovation Mission, I joined from the private sector. In a private sector, you always look at how do you become more and more exclusive, in the sense that you start excluding many customers because they are not adding the bang to the buck, so to speak. We want to maximize revenue, we want to maximize profitability, and we want to do it with the least number of customers. Whereas when you come to the government, you're completely seized with another problem. And the problem is that of scale. Whatever you do in the government, whatever you do for the people, that is not good enough. It is just the tip of the iceberg. So, for example, when I started setting up tinkering labs, we initially started saying we'll set up 500 tinkering labs. Within a week, I realized that 500 tinkering labs is nowhere compared to what India needs. We have 1.4 million schools. We have 600,000 secondary schools. So we said, why not make it 5,000? Now I feel 5,000 is not enough. We need 50,000. So the scale part of it, and what happens in the government and when you work for the country, is that your nature becomes very inclusive. How do I include the various towns? How do I include the various cities? How do I include the various villages? How do I include the gender disparity issue and make that as a non-issue? How do I include disabled or differently able people? The challenges become more and more, and therefore your solutions should have, and especially if you're in the social sector, they should have the ability to scale. The fourth is the pillar of technology that you talked about, and most of you are doing that. But I think there is technology which is not necessarily needed to be integrated in innovation, but technology can be used for promoting your innovation and extending the reach of your innovation. It is not that every innovation needs technology embedded in it, but technology is definitely needed, at least to extend the reach, to use the cloud, to use remote mobile phones, to develop apps to extend the power of innovation and all of that. And then finally, the pillar of socio-economic growth. We are a country where if we do not bridge the digital divide, if we do not bridge the economic divide, if we do not bridge the differentiation between the haves and the have-nots, we will not be able to sustain any growth in our country. And the problems will multiply several fold. So we want to make sure that any progress in economy is also parallelly seen with the progress in societal good, societal benefits. We have to lift 22% of our country who are below the poverty line outside it. We have to ensure that the 44% agri-economy-based country, where you still have farmer suicides happening, that problem is eliminated. How do you increase productivity, farm productivity, which some of your solutions are addressing? How do you ensure AI in energy harvesting and so on, as some of the solutions are enabling? How do you ensure that you have less emission and better climate change parameters being addressed through transportation systems and mass transportation or any other changes in relative to what is happening today? All of these are very, very important. And finally, I think all of you young startups who are graduating, I want to congratulate you, and I want to just leave you with one more thought, and that is, do not be so much consumed by you need to make money as much as your innovation should make an impact. When your innovation makes impact, the money will come automatically. People will come running after you. They will want to invest in you because there is still a whole lot of money out there with venture capitalists, with foundations, with organizations like Cisco Foundation, who's been tremendously helping. I mean, this is not revenue earning for them. This is somewhere where they want to give back to the society in some manner. And a good idea will always have will get a good returns from various sources. The Khan Academy is a great example. You have, I mean, that's this guy who just created a video-based solution using YouTube for educating his niece or nephew, and see where it has gone to. A simple idea, but the power of the idea was to use technology to be able to disseminate education in a very simple, effective manner. And today you have millions of donors willing to give the Khan Academy any amount of money to be able to boost that innovation and scale it up in a very big way. So that is the very important part. Your innovation should have impact. Your innovation should have scale. Your innovation should have quality. And your innovation needs to continuously improve. Unless it continuously improves and evolves, you will soon find that somebody else has come up with a better solution and you no longer become relevant to the marketplace. So once again, my congratulations to everybody. I hope by now you all have voted already on the link. I've given you enough time for you all to vote on the link. So
we have the voting and we have the results as well.
great.
In fact, I would yes, I have sent you a message on the first grant that we can announce.
Yeah, so let me just thank you all for giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this occasion. And so we'll go to announce the results.
Yes, thank you. All right, so I have sent you the first name. Do you want to announce that?
I'm not able to see it on the screen. I can see.
So when you announce, it will come on the screen.
Okay, you sent it on my WhatsApp or something?
WhatsApp or even chat window.
Okay.
Here, you should be able to see. I sent on
There's too
WhatsApp.
many suspense. Huh?
Yeah, too much suspense. Okay, you can just go enter.
Well, I can't see it on my chat window either.
That's fine. I think.
Why don't you just announce it there? Here. Very good. Arogya Foundation. Congratulations to Arogya. And the second one is
Hold on. Sorry, Mr. Ramanan, one sec. We thought we could give them a minute to give an award-winning speech. If we have Priyanjali or Dhruv on this call, do you want to take 60 seconds next?
Sure. I and Dhruv are here on the call. It's really a nostalgic moment. I really didn't think we will have this because there are so many amazing startups with us, and I love all of them. Thank you, Cisco. Thank you, Encode. Thank you, Ravi, Priya, Murugan, Sudha, Akshay. I can't end with names. Thank you, Kumkum. Thank you, Silcha. Thank you, everybody. And this is a great experience. I would let Dhruv talk of it.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure, this journey of 6 months. I would really like to congratulate especially Priya, who has been our strength, our star finder. She has been the one who has given us direction. So I'm overwhelmed by the response. Thank you.
Thank you, Arya. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Roman, now we can announce the next one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The next one is Energy Harvest. Congratulations to Energy Harvest. Sukhmeet Singh ji.
Yeah. Thank you all. It's been such a I think we have learned so much in 6 months than in our organization when we started in 2016. But as Gopi said, it's a huge problem to solve. We are on it, and we require a lot of support to solve this. Aim is to solve pollution problem on one hand and increase farmers' income on the other hand. So hopefully we will have more people coming in and joining us to solve this problem specifically for North Asia. Thanks all.
Thank you.
request Harish, there's one more award. You would have gotten a message or a ping on the chat.
Okay, let me look for the message. Okay, this is a pleasant surprise. The winner is Civis. I say a pleasant surprise because, of all the people in this cohort, I've spent a little bit of time with Antara and, had several sessions with her. And the only feedback I gave when I looked at her business model was that she was not compensating herself at all. So I said, don't be so self-exploitative. So I hope she takes that message, and it's good that she's got this exit grant. And I wish her the very best. Congratulations, Antara.
Thank you.
Do you have Antara on the line?
Yes, thank you so much, Harish. I would like to thank, I think, the Encore team, our Cisco partners, and Sanjay Purohit, as well as everyone else who's helped us grow the organization. We've been very lucky to get many pearls of wisdom like the one that Harish just shared over the course of these 6 months, and I can surely say that it's helped us grow far more than I could have ever imagined. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Priya, before you close, I just want to personally thank Ramana again for his time. And, he gave such a passionate speech. If it is possible, we should actually have a vote to find who's more passionate, is it Ramana or is it IT secretary, right? So both fantastic speakers and so motivating. And Ramana, I think, when you kind of self-deprecatingly talked about not knowing how to end, you reminded, I think you got a stage fright, afraid to get down to the stage. but we all enjoyed your passionate speech, and thank you very much for your time today.
Ramana, nice seeing you again.
Yeah, nice seeing you too. How are you doing?
Very good, Ramana.
Thank you, Mr. Ramanan. I know that it was difficult for you to make time for this, but I'm so happy that you were able to do it and also able to announce the 2 winners for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you. Congratulations to the 3 winners and to the entire cohort. This is a celebration of all of your work. I now invite Neha from IntelliHealth to share the closing remarks for this wonderful evening of Stories of Change. Neha has been a part of our Incubator and Accelerator program. So over to you, Neha. And all of you, please do stick around. We have a very interesting segment where you can connect with the portfolio organizations right after, which Naman will take you through. Neha?
Thanks, everyone. It's always a pleasure to see the latest crop of change makers that are going out after this incubation experience. As someone who's been through the incubator and is now part of the accelerator, just wanted to thank everyone for being here. A few things in this world are as hard as running an early stage nonprofit. I would equate it to deciding to summit Everest, because you're working against so many entrenched systems that haven't changed for centuries, and you need to change behaviors and change the way that people perceive the world and introduce new things, introduce technology in communities and places where technology probably has not been making too much of a difference. Like for you and me, we do everything from ordering food to finding love using technology and apps. But in some of the most remotest parts of the country, that technology hasn't resulted in the kinds of change that it has for you and me. And so it's amazing to see this group of entrepreneurs go out there. And just to pull that kind of Everest analogy a little further, it takes a lot of support systems for you to get to the summit. You need training, you need oxygen, you need an incredible support team. And that is really what Encore and Cisco has been able to provide to us as entrepreneurs. It's in telehealth, connects community health workers and frontline health workers in rural areas with doctors in urban centers to provide healthcare services for rural and remote patients living in rural and remote areas. And for us, this journey has been incredible because every aspect of that support system was so helpful. Unlike for-profit startups, non-profits tend not to find a lot of investors in those early days, the ones who are putting up that risk capital, because the risk of failure is no different in a non-profit as it is in a for-profit, but the risk appetite of investors and supporters is very different when it comes to early stage non-profits. So it's I'm truly grateful, and I think I speak on behalf of the entire cohort as well, if I may be so bold, that it's so hard to find those early champions, and we have benefited incredibly from our Cisco mentor becoming one of our board members, and our advisor, like Ravi still being on our advisory board, and everyone from the ENCORE team and from Cisco being just a call away. So this incubation experience isn't like it has come to an end. It's a journey that continues. It's a support system and an ecosystem that continues to nurture and grow the organizations and the incredible entrepreneurs that it has supported. So I'm grateful for that. Congratulations to everyone in this cohort. This is truly a celebration, moment to stop and reflect and pat yourselves on the back. We don't often get many opportunities to appreciate the kind of work. So it's great to take that moment to reflect and congratulate yourself for getting this far, and wishing you all the best on the incredible journey you have ahead. I'd like to invite everybody who's in here on the call today to spend some time with each of these entrepreneurs in the Ask Me Anything section that's coming up next, so you can see how you can support them in their journey and learn more about their work. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Share the details.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Just changing gears a little bit. Thanks, Neha. The offline soiree would have had a good amount of conversation, free-flowing deliberation that would have followed the entire event. And of course, while it's hard to replicate, we are trying to do our best to make sure that we make these connections as well as possible, and it's as seamless as it can be. So if you check your chat, there will be a list of 9 different links, which is essentially where you can meet all the founders of this current portfolio. If any of these founders have intrigued you, have piqued your interest in any way, and you'd like to engage with them, speak to them, even understand their work better, maybe even meet their teams, please go ahead, join those rooms. You'll be able to even attend multiple rooms if you feel so. If you also look at your calendar invites, all these links are present in those invites as well. So if you feel a little lost about where to go, who to meet, you'll be able to find your way there as well. This meeting link will stay on, and you're free to use each and any of these personal meeting rooms and engage with whoever you want. And yes, Priya, over to you.
All right, thank you. So thank you everybody for being here. And so let's go to the individual Ask Me Anything sessions and have these conversations with the founders.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you.